where the best mortgage brokers get better. I Love Mortgage Brokering with your host, Scott Peckford.
Hi, Broker Nation. I am thrilled to introduce our guest today, Parm Gill. Parm is a mortgage broker with DLC Producers West Financial. He's been a broker for 8 years and is based out of the Lower Mainland in BC. I'm stoked for this interview today. Parm, are you ready to rock?
I am.
Awesome. So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I've been a broker for 8 years. I've had a chance to work with a variety of different firms. Love the business. I think it's one of the greatest business to be in. I've been in sales for the 16 years plus, and brokering is, lots of money to be made, and the amount of money that we make in this business. And not only that, we get to help a lot of people as well.
So how did you get into the mortgage business? Because my experience has been no one as a little kid in kindergarten says, hey, I want to be a mortgage broker when I grow up. We all end up from somewhere. So what was your path to becoming a mortgage broker?
Well, I worked as a business development manager for 2 different companies based out of San Diego, one based out of Germany, and great companies in the telecom business. After, being with those companies for a couple of years, learned a lot. They give you the green slip and say, hey, Parm, we don't need your services anymore in Canada. The Canada market is too small. Here, we started with a small company. We were, very low sales, building up to a $56 million, division. Only after 2 years saying, hey, we don't need you anymore, Parm. See you later. Thank you very much. And I was sitting down with a couple of my colleagues that are brokers. They've been in the business for a while, and I was tired of saying, well, what do I want to do now? Got to do something for myself. And they said, why don't you become a broker? I'm like, broker? Yeah, it goes great business. Always, there's residual income coming in. There's renewals coming in. And I said, this is what I want to do. And I started my course, and here I am.
That's awesome, man. I love that. So was it a sales type role that you were in, or was it totally sort of unrelated?
It was unrelated. It was more of a business development manager. My territory was very large in that capacity. I covered from Victoria to Winnipeg, and I was the only rep in the area. And I traveled. Like I said, I was on the road 6 days of a week, traveling on my own days off, working 14-hour days. I'm thinking, I got to do something for myself. If I can work this hard for somebody else and make it a successful business, I'm sure I can do something for myself. Right.
And on the plus side, as a broker, there's typically not a lot of traveling involved. I mean, usually people want you in your office getting their loans approved, not flitting about the country.
That's right. It makes it much easier to stay home. Plus, now that I've got a family, I'd rather be at home anyways. I don't want to be traveling anymore. And this is a great position to be in, and a lot of money that we can make in this business. And it's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it too. So before we dive into your story, I'd love to ask you about a success quote, because I feel like quotes are the type of thing that distill an idea down into just basically a portable, something you can take with you and you can use on a day-to-day basis. So can you share a quote that's really had an impact on your business?
Yes, we are what we think about. And that's a quote that I live by. If we think we're going to be successful, we're going to be successful. If we think we're going to fail at something, well, we're chances that we're going to fail at something. So I think we are what we think about.
So how do you apply that on a day-to-day basis? So I love that. We are what we think about. So can you give me an example of how you have used that recently?
Yes, when I first started in this business, I wasn't, pretty green. I didn't really know anything about this business, and perhaps I was, this file's never going to go anywhere. I can't do anything. And then I started changing my tone and saying, every file is workable. Every file that I touch, I can help somebody. And sure enough, my funding ratio started to increase. My efficiency started to increase. And every now when I see a file, even if I don't think it's going to go anywhere, I still change that mindset. I can get this file done. There's a lender out there I can find. So it makes me work a little harder by saying that quote every single to myself. Right.
It reminds me of the movie. Remember Dumb and Dumber? And when he says to the girl that he likes her, and she's like, if you were the last man on earth, it's the only way I would marry you. And so he's like, so you're saying there's a chance. And so I say that sometimes to my assistant when we get something that's hard. I'm like, so you're saying there's a chance? She shakes her head at me because I agree. If you're not optimistic, man, this job can beat you down. But if you've got the right, mindset, then, and you're willing to, try everything, it's surprising sometimes what stuff that actually can get sorted out if you have the right attitude.
I agree with you. Yeah, I love that quote by, Colonel Sanders, 1,000 no's before he got the final yes. Edison, 10,000 light bulbs, for experiments, and he actually, ended up, changing the whole world.
Mm-hmm. No, it's awesome. It's just about tenacity, which is a fantastic way to be in life and in business. So I also find that being an entrepreneur and a business owner, mortgage broker, failure is something that happens. And when I look back, there's always a lesson in failure. So can you share something that you'd failed at, but looking back, there was a lesson that you were able to take from it?
That's a good question. I don't look at it as a failure. I look at it as an opportunity that everything happens for a reason. And if you keep your head up and continue to say, what did I learn from it? So it's not a failure in my eyes. It's a learning experience. Perhaps that I could have did something better. Then I come back and evaluate it and continue to say, what did I learn from it? Everything happens for a reason. Whether you think it's a failure, but if you stop and think about it, it's actually something that you learned if you stop and think for a few minutes and say, what did I learn from this? What can I do better next time?
So can you give an example of something that you had that maybe didn't work out the way you had planned? And I mean, I'm just trying to be more specific, and then the lesson that was in it when you look back at it.
Well, I applied for a job for my last position before I got into brokering, and this one really stands out the most. I was competing with MBAs, bachelor's degrees. They were looking for somebody very specific for this role. And I didn't think I had the qualification, but, when I set my mindset to it, I said, they actually denied me on my interview. And I said to myself, let me just get in front of them. Let me get in front of them. I know I can do a great job. And sure enough, my persistence paid off. And they say, Parm, come on in for the job interview. And when I went in there, my boss at the time, or my boss to be, he said, Parm, I've had people come to the door. I cannot believe that you did this presentation well as you did in such a short time frame. When can you start?
That's awesome.
And I think this was what, I knew if I had that mindset, if I know if I get in front of them, I can do this. And that's what I would say that was a failure and a success at the same time.
Right. So that goes back to the you're saying there's a chance, like we were talking about with the Dumb and Dumber guys. So if you can just get in front of them, if you can, and the same thing in our business, if you can just get the opportunity to talk to a client, if you can get an opportunity to, sit down and review their situation, that there's a really good chance that you're going to be able to show them how you can help them and why they should work with you. So that's a fantastic example. And I'm sure you use that every day in your business.
I do. Actually, I had a client last week, same idea. She had called a number of brokers and number of lenders and trying to find out, what you can qualify for. And everyone kept saying, well, you qualify for this. My bank says this. And I said, why don't you give me a few minutes? Why don't I come see you? And she was way out in Burnaby. I said, I'll come see you. No, you don't have to come out the door. I will come to your place. And we sat down and we started talking. I realized that, she had more money than she actually said that she had. She had a great job. And we were able to qualify for, pre-approve her for $400,000, and the bank was telling us she can only qualify for $250,000.
Wow, that's a big difference.
By going out there and seeing it, it made a difference.
So when you get those situations where you obviously there was a failure in, someone else's ability to be able to solve the problem, but do you ever use those as like stories or examples when you're dealing with referral sources?
I use them all the time. This is what our business is all about. We have to tell a story, and, every client is going to be uniqueness to it. And, you always want to get that extra referral if you can, and the stories, people can relate to stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's great. The other thing I've noticed talking to successful brokers is they always have systems and processes, and they're willing to tweak those processes in order to get better results. And we were talking about this before we got on the air, and you said that you like change and you like kind of new things. And so I want to ask first about administrative processes. So can you share a specific administrative process that maybe wasn't working as well as you would like, and how you tweaked it and what sort of outcome you got?
I have a number of things that I've actually done. First one I would say is I redesigned my mortgage application. I was having some challenges, in keeping track of my clients, and really kind of, when you hire an assistant and putting a system in place so that somebody can follow. And I spent a lot of time, I probably would say good 4 or 5 weeks redesigning that mortgage application. This application is now transpired to about 11 pages. And people say, 11-page application. I'm saying, no, it entails a lot of different things. And the keystrokes that I have on it, it just copies a lot of things in there. What I use is, it's got a sales process, how many times I got to call the client. So I'm not re-entering that client's information again and trying to figure out where that client is. And not only that, at the end, it's got a payroll process to it. And it also entails into appraisal ordering process as well. It allows me to separate my application into various different areas. I can just fire off whatever I need for payroll. I just take that page out, extract that page. And I also did I'm a great user of a Dropbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I designed templates for my files as well. So, sometimes we get emails, we get faxes, we got different things going on. And we don't always have time to label things. I have done pre-templates up with, for clients' income, mortgage application, consent form. All I do is drag and drop and really kind of speed up. process and how, file comes through, because let's face it, we get, lender emails, we've got client emails, we've got, personal emails coming through. Trying to filter all through that and trying to say, well, I should have labeled this one. I need to label this file for this one. I just drag and drop it into certain areas. That way, when my assistant does come in, she knows where even if I didn't label it, she can just go into that folder and grab that document out of it.
Mm-hmm. And so do you use, just to key on this a little bit, so do you have, like, so say an income doc comes in, do you have a folder that's like income and then a folder that's like property, and so that you drop specific documents into specific folders? Is that how you sort them, or is there something else you're doing?
No, there's if you break it down, the mortgage application, there's an application process, there's an income process, there's your compliance document. So I've got 6 different folders, and behind those 6 folders, there's subfolders, where you got a client, A and B, C and D. So if you got 4 applicants on the file, all you're doing is you've got an income document for that file. You got T1 general NOAs. You just drag and drop whatever is appropriate for that client.
Oh.
You've got a business for self doc folder as well. So I got 6 different things that I break it down to, and I'd be more glad to send that over to you, my template. That would
be awesome. I would love to put that up for people, because I have a similar system, but it doesn't sound as yours sounds better. So I've got envy, folder envy, if you can imagine, and I just have like client files and then lender communications, but I love the idea of actually separating by client, because sometimes how often do we have clients come back to us like 2 years later, and maybe they're getting separated, and maybe like how much better it would be to have the individuals, or maybe one of them is buying a property and the other one's not. You have them separated by borrower versus just all clumped together in one big happy file.
Well, that's what I used to do in the past, Scott, and you needed a document for a particular document for that lender. You're going through 30, 40 emails or attachments in that folder. You're trying to find out where is that. You're going to spend a lot of time on that. Mm-hmm. This one just really streamlines it. I can find it within a couple seconds, not a couple of not 20, 15, 20 minutes of looking through each attachment, finding out where it is. It's within 15, 20 minutes, and within a few seconds I can find this information.
And so just again, I'm going to key on this, but so when somebody sends in, let's say they send in all their income docs in one shot, and you got him and her together, do you then separate and drag and drop like his into one and hers into another? Is that when you'd actually do the separation?
I have another email set up or another folder set up for emails and faxes that come in. So yes, I will take that original one and drag and drop it in there. So part of my compliance that we got to keep all the documents for the client. And then what I do is I will separate them if I need to, depending on the lender, into individual clients. Obviously job letter, pay stub, NOAs, and then in the T1 generals, obviously those will be separate folder because they become pretty big to send out. Okay,
and the nice thing about using folders in the sense is that it saves you the hassle of having to label everything. If everything is in the appropriate place, then the folder, it works in a way as the label instead of, I know it's a minor thing, but I always love, minor efficiencies add up over the course of a year.
Well, this is when, especially during peak seasons, I just drag and drop a lot of times, but I also do go back at when the file is complete, just go back and relabel those files. And, I use the Mac, I'm not sure what anybody else uses, but it's easy to go back and relabel them. Like I can go back now almost to 3 years and find any documents for any client within a couple of seconds.
I use a Mac too. I love it. A program that's awesome is called Alfred. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I don't use Alfred. I use Adobe is what I use.
So Alfred is actually just a powerful search program that you can put on a Mac. So if anybody listening is using Mac, and if you want to check it out, it's I can find anything, documents from like 5 years ago within like 2 strokes of a key from this program. And it's definitely saves you efficiencies, and it's better than the native search bar in Mac, at least in my experience. It's faster too. So I'll send you a link to that when we're done. Anyway, I digress because this is not about Alfred. It's about process. So that's on the sales side. So I also find that successful mortgage brokers have a sales process, and they don't just show up and hope for the best. And they're willing to adjust those sales process based on what's sort of happening in the market and what their clients' needs are. So can you share an example maybe of a sales process that wasn't working as well as it was, and the kind of adjustment you made and what the outcome was?
Yes, actually, I end up hiring a great marketing person. I was so there's so many hours in the day to do everything. now what I did by having her on board with me, she's sending out my anniversary letters. She's sending out my birthday reminders. I get emails every morning. These are the clients that, our birthdays are coming up today. And by doing that, one of the things that I have found is that I'm starting to get my clients are starting to call back again. If you look at the stats wise, we brokers do a great job in, getting the clients approved. We do, we sell on rates, we sell on this, but what we forget them at the end of the day, we forget our gold, our golden goose that these clients have already done business with that we let them go. And I have this system that she just sends out, like every day things are going out, every month things are going out. And I'm actually getting clients calling me, hey, thank you for the birthday card, thank you for this. And, now they're starting to call me back. It's taken some time, but it's working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's awesome that you've kind of outsourcing parts of the non-critical parts of our business are so important. And so this person, how long ago did you hire them?
Almost about 2 years ago, we've been working together now, and we have got a nice little system going. And like I said, the clients are picking up the phone and calling me. Last week I had 3 referrals, clients that I've worked in the past. Don't always have time to call every single day, but hey, Parm, I saw your birthday card. Thank you so much. Listen, we're thinking about doing a new mortgage. We're gonna we're looking at doing construction financing. Can you come see us? I'm thinking, oh, who is this client? Who is this client? And I realized that I did a mortgage for them almost 2 years ago, and I haven't had a chance to get back to them, but they're getting my emails, they're getting, my birthday card, they're getting the anniversary letters. And really, the touches are there now.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Set it and forget it. So that's a great advice for anybody who, once you get more than 2 clients, you should be thinking about this stuff.
I agree with you, Scott. We get so busy on going out, working on what's in front of us. We've got to also continue to work on our clients that we do have. Mm-hmm. Those are the biggest referral sources.
Yeah, that's totally true. I noticed another area that has been getting a lot of talk lately is they need to diversify your income. And so I've been talking to brokers about this, and I see 2 camps forming. One camp is, yes, we need to diversify, get into other product lines. Another camp says, no, just stick to mortgage brokering. And so I just wanted to know where you fall on that. And if you are diversifying your income in any way outside of just like residential mortgages, what area are you focusing on?
I do both. I do commercial and residential mortgages. And commercial is people always kind of shy away. So, I don't know anything about commercial. I don't know, what do I do? Actually, the process is very similar in terms of, how we take the residential mortgage. And by, doing the commercial, you're taking the same application, you're getting the document, you're getting the, business documents. These 3 documents you're going to request a little extra. And that would be your, company financials, lease agreements, which we wouldn't need on a residential mortgage, but you're asking for lease agreements. And I do both. And because I took right from day one, I took the challenge of doing it. Now I've got processes in place for that. When I see a residential client, what do I need to collect? Really, there's not much difference in what I'm collecting for the residential side, just a few extra documents. And most lenders, commercial guys, are willing to help you put the deal together. Mm-hmm. I think that having able to do both is much more profitable business today than it was for me in the past.
Right. That's awesome. So the commercial lending is an area that's been working well for you.
Very well, actually. I love the idea of helping a commercial client. The deals are a little bigger. Yeah, it's a lot more work, than a residential deal, but the rewards are, when you see a business that's opened up, he's going to hire 5-6 people for that business, and you're saying, what, I was part of that. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So how do you balance running a busy mortgage practice and family?
Nice thing about this is the reason I got into this job or in this position was to, have that flexibility of, having the family life. And I work out of my home, and to be honest with you, I work 12, 14-hour days, Monday to Friday. And when my kids are home, I do, take a few hours out to spend time with them. And on the weekends, I make sure that I'm there for all the activities. And a lot of times, let's face it, our business is in our handheld. We're able to answer phone calls, get back to clients. We've got, today we've got smartphones that you can check email, send documents off of it. I think the balance is much easier than it was, a few years ago, especially with some of the things, iCloud's coming in now, Dropbox is coming in. It's easier to balance today than it was in the past.
Right. It allows you to kind of do both. Have your cake and eat it too, in a sense.
Exactly.
So now we'll move to the rapid fire questions. These you can answer with a little shorter answers. So what is the number one thing holding back most mortgage brokers from being successful?
I think not going out to lender meetings. I think that's really important. Going to the trade shows, going to the seminars. Anytime you can sit in front of a lender BDM, I would highly suggest that. I don't think we're not doing enough in our business. There's so many products out there that every lender has, and you know what? If we can go out and sit in front of these people, I think we're going to learn something from them. And these guys are going to every single broker. They're talking to the high brokers. You can always pick up a pointer here and there from them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, what one habit you think's made you successful?
Positive thinking. Just be positive. Everything you do, there's, even if you didn't get the result that you wanted, but you can say, what did I learn? What can I do better in the next file? What can I do better? That's what I always look at it. I think there's something positive about it. Everything is always there.
Mm-hmm. That goes back to your quote, "We are what we think about." So, do you have an internet resource, a software program that you use to make your business more successful?
I love Dropbox. I think Dropbox is probably, thank goodness for Dropbox. And when I saw this a few years ago, and now what I've utilized it today, there's so many things that I've done. I've got all my lender guidelines are sitting in my Dropbox. It's just, and no matter where I am at with my clients, I just take my iPad with me. If I need to take a look at CMHC's guidelines, I can just drop into my Dropbox. It's a login into a website. I love Dropbox. It's probably the greatest thing that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably other things out better than that, but Dropbox is my favorite.
That's awesome. So if you could recommend one book for our listeners, what would it be?
Instead of a book, can I recommend something else?
Sure.
I think YouTube. There's so many good things on YouTube that I listen to YouTube pretty well 24 hours a day if I could. I think whatever book you want to read or whatever book you think you want to read, let's face it, Scott, we're so busy today that we don't have time to sit down for an hour, 45 minutes. I will download a lot of things from YouTube and then I'll drive and listen to while I'm driving.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. So what about, I'm going to get you to send me a link when we're done the interview to something from YouTube that one of the things that's really impacted you recently. The other thing that I found was just a little while ago, something called actionable books. And so there's 600 business books on there and somebody's taken the time to give the big idea and then a couple of the key takeaways. And like literally, a 300-page book will be 1,200 words, and it's so good. Like you can go in and search any book that you're looking for. Because I agree. Like I used to read a lot of books, but now but I can read 1,200 words. Like it takes me maybe 6 minutes, and you get the gist of the book. And you're like, if it's really good, maybe you get the book. So that and YouTube's a fantastic resource.
YouTube is my goal. It's where I go now. And the nice thing is that a lot of it, it doesn't cost anything to do this. If you want Anthony Robbins, he's there. He's got 30, 40 different videos that you can actually watch.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
While you're working.
So where do you think our industry's headed? Where's the opportunity?
This is a great industry to be in. There's a lot of growth happening. Let's face it, our biggest competitor is their banks, and we only hit a portion of the market, and I think there's so much still growth that's going to happen. We brokers are making a big difference in the industry. I take the approach of educating clients as opposed to trying to do a hard sell. So if you continue to educate the clients are going to come back to you because we're doing a better job. Some of the lenders, there's some really great lenders out there. I'm not saying that we're the best, but we're doing a much better job than we did over the years in the past. And clients are a lot more comfortable in dealing with us. So I think there's a great growth still happening in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So here's one of my favorite questions is the DeLorean question. Remember the movie Back to the Future? Have you ever seen it? Okay, so in the movie, there's the DeLorean, which is this car with the fancy doors, and it could travel in time. So if you could jump in the DeLorean and I set the time for you, you don't get to pick, and I set it for your first day as a mortgage broker, so 8 years ago, and the goal is for you to sit down with yourself, your younger self, and give yourself 3 pieces of advice so you would have a bigger business, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself, work your database. Keep your database up to date. Keep it organized. That way you can always come back to it. That this is just going to be your gold or your golden goose down the road. The other thing I would say is work with senior brokers. If they're too busy to sit down with you, take them for a cup of coffee. Ask them questions. I had a chance to sit down with Dustin a few years back, and he 45-minute cup of coffee was supposed to be 15 minutes, ended up being 45 minutes, and he shared so much information with me, and I'm like, wow, Dustin, thank you for taking time up. If I did more of those in the beginning, I think I could be even more successful than I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you go to lender meetings, go to the seminars, make sure you do some training, invest in yourself. Yeah, that's what I would tell myself. Continue to. I do that today, and I wish I would have did this more in the beginning, and I could be, you would know a lot more than I do today.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice. So work your database and keep it up to date. Work with the senior brokers, get a mentor, and then go to those lender sessions and learn what you can so that you shorten the learning curve, because you're going to learn it over time. It's just, is it going to take you 10 years or is it going to take you, a year because somebody shows you a shortcut that you're like, oh, wow, this is a much easier way to do it than the way I was trying to figure it on my own.
Yes, that's what I said. That's what I tell myself. I would go back now. Now I do that today, but I ask questions, senior brokers that are asking questions that I didn't ask in the past.
Mm-hmm. Well, Parm, I have really enjoyed this interview, and I've it's been awesome. I got lots of great stuff from it. Where can people find you online?
mymortgageteam.ca.
mymortgageteam.ca. And if anybody's listening, you can get show notes, links to everything we talked about at ilovemortgagebrokering.com. Parm, I hope you crush the rest of your year, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Where the best mortgage brokers get better. I Love Mortgage Brokering with your host, Scott Peckford.
Hey, Broker Nation, Scott Peckford here. Have you joined our VIP club for mortgage brokers yet? If not, you're missing out. We share exclusive content not available on the web or the show. We share scripts, step-by-step guides, and other insider tips to help you save time and make you more money. I can't tell you how many times after I turn off the recorder, a guest starts sharing some awesome advice or a script or a tip, and I take the best of this and share it with my VIPs. If you want to get on the list, visit ilovemortgagebrokering.com/VIP. That's ilovemortgagebrokering.com/VIP. Oh, and one other thing. Since this is exclusively for mortgage brokers, there is a skill testing question. Good luck, and I hope you continue to rock your mortgage biz.